Okay, that's not true. I'm never going to forget Warhammer 3 because I know that's going to be an incredible game. But the mod, the old world for Bannerlord, is shaping up to be an amazing fan-made project with some of the most impressive work I've ever seen. In this video today, I've been given exclusive access to a small preview build of the mod to show off some Empire versus Vampire counts action. We have 4 lords and a handful of units to showcase today, as well as a few maps and other details. Before we get any further though, I want to throw a huge disclaimer up front that this is a fan-made project that is absolutely not for profit and is strictly a modification of Mount & Blade to Bannerlord. With that being said, the team has a lot of ambitious plans for the future, and they're just getting started. As both Bannerlord and the mod continue to develop, this will probably be one of the most impressive portrayals of the Warhammer world, as will be entirely a labor of love. I'm going to structure this video by showing off the units in a battle first, then I'll show off the characters that we have access to, at least in this build. We'll do a swing through one of the maps in progress for an amazing view at an Empire settlement, then we'll close the video out discussing the world map and some features that the team is hoping to implement. Again, this is a very heavy work in progress, so please excuse any weird bugs, wonky animations, or missing textures, as the team really wanted to get something out to the community ASAP. If you're enjoying the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. I know that can be exhausting to hear, but it goes a long way to supporting a channel and defeating the dreaded YouTube algorithm. But let's get started on the old world mod for Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. So here we are in an actual battle, and you can see Krell, you can see some Graveguard, you can see some skeletons, you can see vampire counts coming to life in Bannerlord. Now, I am playing at a time of day of noon. Later in the video, when we show off some of their characters, I'll show you what it's like at an evening or a nighttime battle. All the characters that are undead have glowing eyes, and I wanted to do this so you could actually see the detail on everything. It kind of gets washed out a little bit as you play at night for some reason with the recording. So here is just the initial kind of foray into the vampire counts, and you can see there's unit diversity, and I'll show you once we jump back into the actual player menu what this looks like. But right now we've got skeletons with swords, as you can see, some custom assets here. And what they were telling me is like the way that they've actually done the assets for these skeletons is pretty unique. It does cause for a long load time, but they have pretty much pinpointed why that's happening, and they're looking at alleviating that. So that is pretty cool. But there's our skeletons here with just some basic swords and spears. You'll see some spears behind them right there. So, and these are different class. They're all lumped together because it's all just in one control group. But you'll also see that we've got Graveguard here with swords and shields looking just badass. Every single one of them is looking so cool. Unit diversity across their helmets, across the breastplates, across the individual shields themselves. You can see once I kind of look over in this direction. And in the back, somewhere over here, you can see Graveguard with great weapons right here, which just look great. Now behind them though, you get to see Cairn Wraiths. They've added some brand new Cairn Wraiths into the game, and these also look incredible. And when we look at this at night, the Cairn Wraiths will glow. They look really cool, really imposing. Like I love this. Oh man, you can always see the Empire just getting up all on us, starting to shoot some stuff. But I love what they've done with just simply the undead, with just the vampire counts. And we haven't even looked at Manfred or the other vampire general. So this right here is a generic Empire village that they've created. And as we kind of swing through this, if you notice some of the textures popping, it's just something they're working with right now. You'll notice that from a distance, it kind of looks blocky, but as you get up close to it, it'll start to kind of sharpen and maybe pop in a little bit more. This is going to be more evident with another one of the locations I'll show off in a little bit here. But as we kind of swing through this, you can see that this village, there's still a lot of assets that they haven't even added in that are coming. They said like, hey, you know, we've got some caravans, some trading carts that are going to populate these villages, and it's going to look alive when you actually jump into it from a campaign map perspective. I can't wait to show you the campaign map itself. But let's take a look at the Empire army. So we have an Empire general right here. Look at that hat. Look how poncy he looks. It's perfect. And just running right through the camera and everything. Now, we also have a mix of soldiers for the Empire. You can see we have got crossbows, we've got bow and arrows, we even have handgunners here, which is really, really sick. They do shoot those handguns as you would expect. Now, for the units themselves, too, we also have a lot of diversity. We have got just your simple spearmen. We have got people with swords and shields. But take a look at this in the back. Look at these Vihanders. Look at that. Look how sick that looks. So we get the great swords here for the Empire, just wielding these deadly demons, and we get some really awesome halberdiers if I jump over to here. Like, look at that. Look how ornate this looks. And if you've looked at any of the other artwork that was already released for Old World, you maybe have seen Galmaraz. They've done that and rendered that entirely. When we take a look at Krell, I'll go back over to him. His axe is already done and completed. Let me shoot over there to him. But it's just really cool to kind of see this brought to life, right? Like, look at this thing. Look at this. I love how much attention to detail there is. And they've shown me some other sculpts that they're working on for other things like the Chaos Warriors or further expansions onto their current roster. It is amazing to see this kind of stuff come to life here. So I'm going to just kind of have stuff go ahead and attack. Actually, I'll tell you what. We'll jump out here and I'll show you this real quick. So if I click here, I can see all the different types of melee infantry troops that they have created for the vampire count so far. So Graveguard, great swords with just normal Graveguard, your spearmen, your warriors, your animated skeletons. I'm going to turn all these on. Now for the Empire of Men, we have your recruits, your state troops, your Empire swordsmen, your spearmen, your great swords, and your halberdiers. Turn all of them on. And then for this handgunner, crossbowman, and archer. And I'm going to switch this map over to Forest Road here. And we'll go... This might be a little bit harder to see, and I do apologize. But I just want to show off the glowing eye element of the undead here. So as we jump into this battle, it's evening. You can see everything is glowing now. Even the Cairn Wraiths. Even Krell himself has glowing eyes. So, I mean, this shot alone is just so sick. Just to see the vampire counts coming to life like this. So we're just going to have everything charge in. There's no real... Nothing is really separated as its individual parts. But when I jump into Manfred or the Vampire General or into the Empire General, I'll show off some of the other portions of the spellcasting. But let's go ahead and fast forward here to us jumping into conflict. Okay, we're coming up on the Empire forces. My horde of undead are surging forward. They're shooting in some volleying shots into us. You can see the handgunners trying to shoot back or run back into the Empire forces as everyone clashes here. And Krell just brings the hammer down. And by hammer, I mean axe. And I just miss everything. Oh my god, this is just challenging. I'm just hitting my own men. 242 damage for that great sword over there. Oh, bring me the general. And the cool thing here is what they've done for the vampires themselves. They don't rout. They actually crumble. Oh, he's been knocked off his horse. And he's been taken down by my undead legions. Like, look at these surging hordes of vampire counts just taking everyone apart. And the Cairn Wraiths looking like a Technicolor Dreamcoat. Aha! None escape Krell. So you get a sense for how awesome just this basic battle is. Let's jump over to take a look at some other characters really quick. All right, now here's our generic vampire general. He has an undead horse. Again, things are still not up to proportions. The horses are very small. When we look at Manfred, he will also look very small. Look at this custom sword they've built out for him. He's got really, oh, that's a fireball I accidentally casted. He's got really awesome, cool, ornate armor going on. Like, this is a beautiful blood dragon vampire. And it is really awesome to kind of just see this rendered in all of its glory. There is some clipping issues with the capes, but that is to be expected as they kind of suss out that issue. Let's go ahead and unpause this here, and I'll show you kind of the magic as we get closer with this guy. I might get gunned down, but they actually have two spells in the game right now. We have a fireball and I have Wind of Death. So we'll see Wind of Death here. If I don't get gunned down by my opponent. Ooh! and it casts this, like, look at that, look at the death it does, and you see the skulls ripping up from that. Oh, my horse was shot out from under me, and it actually like sent those men routing. But we still have a fireball to show off. Let's do that. Launch some, oh god, some close range artillery. Oh no. Oh no, not my vampire general. Ah! Switching over to another battle here, we have got, it's noon, so you can see a little bit more now. And we'll let this battle play out as well, so you can see a little bit more combat in better light. But you can see Manfred von Karstein here. He's up on his horse. Everything, again, is really small. It is going to be increased in its size. They have an actual sword that is created for him. It just wasn't implemented in this build just yet. But I wanted to show off old Manny. He's looking pretty disgusting, pretty horrible. And again, more of these awesome custom assets. Jumping back over to the Empire line of things, you can see our archers, our handgunners, crossmen are already kind of kicking off. There's that that journal once more. Let's take a look at the valiant line, the defense of the Empire of Man, as they have the encroaching vampire hordes approaching them. Again, just to get a good sense of that detail here, right? Like, I mean, there's going to be some bugs. Things are kind of like stacking on top of each other. That's okay. But let's just surge into it. Look at that going on. Manfred even jumping into the fray here. So what's really cool about all this going on is that, yes, there is the morale mechanic for the Empire morale of men, right? Like, oh, Manfred just loses his horse. Like, yes, they're going to flee, but you can see here, everything's starting to, these embers that are ripping off of Manfred, their morale is starting to drop. So rather than fleeing, they will kind of deteriorate in place. So you can see that they'll crumble, they'll shamble away, just like it is in tabletop and everything of the sort. So it's really cool to see that. You can see it kind of unfolding across these skeleton spearmen. And that was a pretty hard fought fight right there. Handgunners going back to work. What's left of the courageous Empire of Man fights off the hordes of the Vampire Legion. Where the hell did the rest of them go? They're just chasing off those men into the distance, but you can really see that this game has got a lot of really awesome potential under the hood. And this is just about 6 or so months into development, and they just have these troops done. They have a lot more planned. So let's jump over to the actual map for the game and discuss some future features that are coming with the old world. Before we show the actual game map off, I do want to show off a really cool settlement they have in mind here. I believe this is Lieberhof, and what they're doing is the two maps that we looked at were one, Forest Roads, and then the Sylvanian Marshes. So as we jump into this location, we can see, and again, try to ignore any texture popping as you get closer and closer to things. See, it gets more and more detailed the closer you get, but they have got so much symbolism crafted into this. And this whole entire city was made by one of the developers. He spent hours and hours doing it, and it has a ton of love crafted into it. You can see the kind of ebb and flow of all the buildings, just like it is represented in the actual lore and in the drawings. And even when we take a look at Vermintide, it's got very similar, but there's all these little alleyways, and just these twists and turns throughout the city. It's a really well done, well crafted piece of, oh man, this is, I haven't gone down this far. This is awesome. There's so much going on here. And as we kind of come into like the center portions, you can see this gigantic statue of Mor right here. Like, and this is supposed to be one of the settlements you are able to walk into, right? You can enter the village on, and this is a nice little marketplace where this would be a bazaar, and they have shown me some of the caravans and the trading carts that would populate this. So there is a lot of future assets that haven't even been added over here. And if we move over here, again, you're going to see some texture pop and things are going to get sharper as we get close to them. But we have this really cool cathedral here. They have done so much, and they've put so much love into just one city that you can only imagine how this is going to kind of push out as we get into more and more features. Jumping through here into the actual keep. Like, look at this bad boy. And one of the cool things that they told me about with this is that this whole city is floating because they have a future idea to implement Skaven into this. And they haven't really fleshed that out or what that really means. But if I come over to this location, there's these little points where Skaven can kind of crawl out from and go into, and maybe they are part of a random invasion event or whatever it is. They haven't really kind of fleshed it out, but they've built it kind of in mind. And you can see, hey, we've just got got to a point that's not completely built out. But it's really exciting to see that they have this future idea for how these settlements can really come to life, and not just simply, okay, I attacked the settlement and I won and I beat it and now I own it. Like there's a little bit more at stake here. There's a little bit more kind of brought into it, and I really am excited for the future development of how they push these settlements out to us in the Old World mod. So now I want to talk about that map. So here we have a map of the Old World. You can see everything. You can see Empire, you can see Bretonnia, Tilia, Estalia, the Border Princes, the Badlands, the Northern Chaos Wastes. Well, here's the map they're going to be using for the Old World mod. And you can see it is lovingly recreated. It is extremely, how many times can I say love and lovingly in this video? It's too many at this point. But my point remains that this is being recreated to the best of its ability. You can see massive Orcal right there in the center of Bretonnia. You can see the Empire lands to the east. You can even see Albion to the northwest, the Chaos Wastes far to the northeast, Tilia and Estalia, the Border Princes down to the Badlands. And you have a little bit of the Southlands there in the lower left corner, and some of the World's Edge mountains that teeter on the right side, and all the many passageways into it. So there is a lot of future expansion built into this mod as is. And I know right now their initial development idea is to knock out Empire versus Vampire counts, have a really clear cut and dry two factions, right? One good, one evil. And then eventually they want to expand that out to stuff like the dwarfs and orcs, but that's going to be way down the line because there is so much manipulation that's needed. But they do want to work on Bretonnia and Chaos next. They've already started to get some of those assets ready and created. So there is a lot of future ambition for this project. And for only 6 months in, they've created so much. Like Ninian is the individual who made both the Empire Village and Leichberg, and both are just amazing. You have Hun Harbo, who created this little preview for us. Or some of the other mods like Shaw Muscle, who's created the Graveguard and the Skeletons, and Manfred and the Vampire Lord, or Squigs, who's created the skeleton weapons, and Krell. There's so much work that has been put into by this dev team. And the dev team is actually like pretty sizable. It's not a small team of like 4 or 5 people. It's around 100 large. So my hat's off to the entire development team. I've only mentioned a couple of them here, but there's even more. Candyman, Tristan, Augustin, Atrocitus, Merlin, Black. There's so many of these guys. And so if you do want to get involved in the Old World, I'm going to be providing some links here in the comment and the description, so you can take a look at jumping into it if you want to help out from a development standpoint, maybe from a testing standpoint, or if you just want to follow the development of the mod itself. Please, it deserves all the sight and vision that it can get from the community. Now, as far as things in the future go, I've kind of talked about that a little bit, but they do want to get working on Bretonnia and Chaos at the same time. They've already worked on a little bit of the elf stuff, like they've made some weapons here and there just because, hey, this is a passion project. While I am working on a deadline for X deliverable, I also got sidetracked and made this really awesome Dark Elf Sorceress staff. Like there are so many things like that in this development for this mod because they just are creating so much content for it. They've made all these other individual 3D aspects that we will start to see as the mod develops. They want to start putting out more and more updates and start to show off more and more of what they are doing. In the future, maybe they are thinking about the ability to make your own Order of Knights. Other things that they're really tinkering with. Like I said, Skaven is something that they're really trying to hammer out. They haven't figured out a ton of mechanics because it is still so early in the development, and it's really going to depend upon what Bannerlord does to change the way the game is manipulated. Maybe in version 1.6, a lot of stuff is going to change, and that is going to further change the way the development cycle works. So a lot of this is really dependent upon when the actual release of Bannerlord happens. And I know I said the same thing for Brett Walda, but those things are going to have such a huge impact on the future development of this mod. And I'm really excited for it, guys. So again, please check out those links in the description. And in the pinned comment, you'll be able to find all the relevant information as you need it. And don't forget to kind of share some love with them. Let them know, like, hey, I'm loving this, loving that, in the comment section below. I'm sure they're going to read it. If you have any questions, please, again, feel free to ask there. If I can answer it, I will, but I will forward it to them and they can maybe give me an answer to give to you. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. I can't wait to follow more development of this mod. As always, though, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, but have a good one and take care.